Oh, look at you with your Bahama Mama.
Drinking my frozen booze drink out of the bag. It's a naturally flavored wine product.
Okay.
It's already getting me. Can already feel it in the back of my head a little bit.
Wait till tomorrow. You're going to have a headache tomorrow. Since you're not a drinker, Ann Brothers, it's going to hit you like a truck. You're going to be out saying all kinds of stuff. Who knows what Ann will say today?
Who knows?
I'm drinking an old fashioned, but this is not really a teenage drunk drink. I've just been wanting one all week, and I've I have been working to lose some weight since the beginning of the year, and I've done very well so far. But I have not been drinking very much, so maybe once a week. So I've been like choosing my day when to drink, and so since we're going to be reviewing Sisters today, this is the day. So I'm like, I really want an old fashioned, and so yeah. I was so scrambled when I got home from work yesterday and just so like over it that I just basically came home, had a meltdown, and went to bed. Look at Jeannie Caselli's with us. Everybody getting tipsy in the club. Everybody getting tipsy. Everybody getting tipsy in the club. That's for you, Jeannie.
Who's getting tipsy? Are you getting? I love that. You know, everybody.
Not just you. Not just me.
Not just you. Not just me. Everybody.
Oh, no, and that's lyrics from a song that I can't think of. Jeannie, what is the name of that song? I know that song.
Everybody gets tipsy.
It's literally called Everybody in the Club or something like that. I can't remember, but I can't remember who does it. No, not just you. That's right, Jeannie. Not just you.
Right.
So the reason Ann and I are already getting tipsy is because we reviewed. This is both a movie that we own. So I wouldn't say as much as we're reviewing it is that we're talking about it because we love this movie, and it is Sisters with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and just a bunch of other people. We'll get to that in a second. But right now we were talking about like I said, we'll talk about the movie in a second, but we're talking about the things that we are currently enjoying. I'm enjoying an old fashioned. Anna's enjoying a Dailies, or is that who is it? Put it up against the camera there.
It's Dailies Bahama Mama. It is a like I said, a naturally flavored wine beverage, drink, wine product. So,
nice.
Exactly. It's like the stuff at the bottom of the barrel that they've squeezed 3 times.
It's the wine product and other natural flavors. Yay.
But I thought if you haven't seen this movie, you have to. But if you have seen this movie, you know that this is how you'd be drinking your drink at that party.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I did not party in high school. I was not a high school partier. I was a nerd, and so though I knew there were parties happening on Friday nights, I was usually at home watching TV with mom and dad.
I was never, even in high school, I was never a big drinker. I mean, as you know now, most people would not believe that, but I never was a big drinker. I went to a lot of parties, but I was never a big drinker. And I usually was like done with the party as soon as I had to start babysitting. Like I never wanted to be the party mom, which if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. I was never interested in being the party mom. So as soon as it got to the point where I had to start being the party mom, I just left. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Thanks. I'm going to get my Chevette and go do something else. Bye.
Yeah. No, I just never wanted to do anything to ruin my eligibility for sports. So I just never put myself in that situation. So there you go. Love Boat and Fantasy Island. Nice. Ooh, Friday nights. That's exactly right. Back to back. But usually, I usually went to bed before Fantasy Island. So I didn't really see it as much. So, but Love Boat, hell yeah, man. I know the Love Boat and know it well. Because not only was it on Friday nights, but it was also on in syndication when I was in college so that I could come home from class, have lunch between classes, watch the Love Boat or what was the other one? Magnum PI, Golden Girls, the good stuff. Party animal sweet here.
Sweet youth.
It's true. All right, so let's get to talking about this here movie. I'm going to get it into the stream here. There it is. I'm going to get rid of our brand real quick. Not that our brand is amazing, but there it is. Excuse me, and I'm going to put your picture on top. Watch it. Oh, I just swapped this. Look at you. I know. Oh, no problem. Well, you did the majority of the work on this slideshow today. I basically just co-signed on this loan. So good work putting this together.
Thank you. I figured that.
You're welcome.
You know,
You're welcome.
do my part.
And it's very fitting. There are some similarities to the two sisters in this movie and us, but and there we can talk about that as we go. But there are definitely some similarities here. All right, so here we go. We are talking about Sisters, 2015, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, written by Poehler, who is a genius, by the way, and directed by Jason Moore. He directed something else. He directed some other chick movie.
Yeah, he directed the movies with the girls that sing a cappella.
Pitch Perfect.
The Pitch Perfect. He directed all 3 of those movies.
Did he? Because I thought what's her name directed one of them, the blonde lady from.
Oh, maybe she did number 2, but I know he did the first one.
Very cool. And why can't I think of her name? Because she's awesome. I love her.
Duncan, do you know the woman who was in Pitch Perfect that was
Anna Kendrick?
Anna Kendrick?
No, the blonde lady. She plays Jack Donaghy's wife, the blonde woman. God, what is her name?
In 30 Rock.
Banks.
Elizabeth Banks.
Elizabeth Banks. Oh yeah, because I just love her. I think she's fantastic. So yeah,
she is. Yeah, but I figured, when I saw that he had directed the Pitch Perfect movies, I'm like, well, at least he knows how to work with women. So
yeah, and I think he brings a lot of good things. I mean, I enjoyed Pitch Perfect 1 and Pitch Perfect 2, and though I didn't love Pitch Perfect 3, the scene where Fat Amy is the ninja is priceless. Priceless. Nothing else in that movie is good. That scene is hilarious and worth the price of admission, and makes the rest of the movie at least not tolerable, watchable. So anyway, all right. So here we are. What this is about, Anne, would you like to take us through?
I would love to. So, sisters, 40-something sisters. Kate, played by Tina Fey, who's the older sister, and Moya, played by Amy. Mara, played by Amy. Mara, the youngest sister. Their last name is Ellis. They grew up in Orlando, Florida, which is kind of Orlando, Florida is a little bit of a character in this movie too.
Absolutely.
Anyway, their parents decide to sell the family home, and this is where Kate and Mara have had some of their best, most wonderful memories. And they don't take this news well. I would say Kate has had some failure to thrive issues. And though Mara has thrived better, she's still definitely, her best times seem to have passed her. So anyway, they don't take the selling of this house very well. So their parents are making them clean out their shared bedroom, because that's the only room of the house that has not been cleaned out. The house is sold to the Geerts, who are going to come in from New York and totally cut down the sister tree and totally change the house. So as they're cleaning out their room, they decide that they're going to have one last party at this house. And they had epic high school parties. Well, at least Kate did. Mara always played the house mom. So anyway, they decide to have this big party, and they invite all of their friends from high school, and hilarity ensues. Let's just say that it's time to remember that you can go balls deep in joy.
Balls deep in joy. That's a very inspirational speech that Kate gives when she's trying to get everybody in there. Because what's funny about this is that, okay, so they're planning this big party. Their parents have moved off to this community for active seniors, and so the house is essentially empty. And so they decide to have this big party. And what's funny is that when they start the party, they invite all of their high school friends who are now all in their 40s. This is a party of 40-somethings. And the scene where the party starts is just fabulous, because it's like all these 40-somethings who come to the party exactly on time, no fashionably late, and they try to bring their kids. And then they start talking about like their surgeries and their issues, and the fact that they're old and sad. And then one of them's talking about how you clean your paws from your dog to get the fungus out. And it's just this, like, it's such a sad statement on adulthood. I'm like, and you've mentioned this before, and you have talked about what your 16-year-old self would think of you. And it's at this age, and it's exactly that. It's like your 16-year-old self's worst nightmare of what you're going to be as an adult. And it's just like, it's just gone to hell.
It's just gone to hell. It's like, I woke up one morning, bang, no more periods.
No more periods. It's like, I'm like, this one woman's talking about her vaginal rejuvenation. I'm like, oh my God, that's so 40-something. So then itself is hilarious. So then Tina Fey has to give him this massive pep talk, and okay, we'll show that quote in a second, but it really is that scene. Dude, it's Susie Nelson, dude. Susie, you would be one of the first people I would invite to a party because you're just hella fun. Just hella fun. Remember that time in college, Susie, when we went to a party together a lot? Yes.
Oh, that's my favorite quote, Jeannie. A little less, forever 21, and a little more, suddenly 42.
Suddenly 42. And that's exactly the way it is, too. It's like 1 second you're 21, and then you're 42, and it happens like that. It's the damnedest thing. So when I look at my students and they're like, you're so uncool, I'm like, someday you will be too.
Me too.
Mic drop. And the difference between you and I is that I know this.
Exactly. You're still oblivious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't get to my partying stage until I got to college. Then I did many parties because they were available to me. And they were fun. So anyway, reasons to watch this movie. And honestly, I think you can enjoy this movie whether you're a dude or not. People are like, oh, it's a girl movie. I'm like, no, it is crude. This isn't the greatest movie you'll ever see, but it's crude and funny. And there are so many just fantastic one-liners in this movie. So, Anne, as you have said, reasons to watch this movie, go for it.
Well, number one, of course, is the duo of Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. They have done movies together before. They are hilarious in this movie. Just their comic timing, their play together is just so funny. And then, of course, the writing of Paula Pell together with their comic timing and they're just complete joy and abandonment. You know that there's like tons of outtakes of them probably trying stuff and putting stuff together, going back and forth. It's amazing. If you really, I mean, there hasn't been, may I be so bold, as good a comedy duo as since like Lucille Ball, Lucy and Ethel. I mean, they're like that sort of comic together.
You think about,
and they do a good job of sharing. Like there isn't one straight man and one funny person. They do an excellent job of balancing it back and forth. So they're just totally worth, just the two of them are worth this movie.
Oh, look at Susie Nelson, Theater House Forever. Yes, girl. The most fun I've ever had in my life was in that stupid dump shit box of a house on Olive Street in Ypsilanti, Michigan. God, it was fun. Fun with a capital fun. And the thing is about Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and Paula Pell is that what I love about that combination is that it's like these women have worked together for years and know each other well. And, that's one of the things that's enjoyable about this is that you're dealing with a writing and an acting team that just they know each other. They've been doing it for years. So yeah, awesome. Next reason to watch the movie Sisters.
My favorite scene in this movie is the dress boutique scene. And there's a lot of awesome scenes in this movie. But this one where they're in this boutique trying to find dresses for their party is so brilliantly funny. I mean, you try not to laugh because you might miss stuff. So you have to go back and rewatch it. Just brilliant. It's one of those things where you're like women are like looking at their bodies. They're buying these dresses to, accentuate their bodies. And at the same time, laughing at the foibles of their bodies. My gosh, it is all the things that you've said about yourself as you're trying to like figure out how your boobs go into a dress or why this is spilling out of some part of the dress or which zipper, or is this the front or the back? Or
I'm not sure if there's anything I hate more. My hell will be me trying on clothes in any shop dressing room. There's nothing, I don't know. No, there's nothing I hate more than that. That's why I literally wear the same clothes for 15 years because I cannot bear the thought of going to a dressing room because it's that traumatic. I hate it so much. Jeannie is with us and she says, that looks amazing on you, which is what their 20-something helper is doing. The little girl that works there, her name's Brayla. And like, that's basically all she says. They ask her questions. She's like, that looks amazing on you. Fantastic.
I don't know. This dress is showing a lot of underteat, but I think I'm really rocking it. It looks amazing on you, but it's backwards.
Well, the dress that she walks out in one that just says work, WERK on it. I'm like, that one made me laugh for an hour. At work.
Oh,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Absolutely. So yeah, the dress boutique scene, the supporting cast in this movie is so great. So great.
Yeah, and it's a testament to how long and how well they have worked in this industry that they can pull all these phenomenal comic actors and actresses and bring them onto this into this movie. I mean, it just shows you the connections they have, how much respect people, other performers give them to like come out and say, all right, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to have 10 lines in your movie, 10 of the best lines, and then,
Yes.
John Leguizamo,
I'm laying
so
down bread
funny.
face.
Oh, I was like, man, somebody told me you died. Oh, you're the second person to tell me that.
You look weathered, man. Like under an overpass weathered. Which is again a really great line. Yeah, and again, there are just so many, and there's so many like little, like, if you've watched Saturday Night Live or Parks and Rec or even Hamilton, because like one of the actresses from Hamilton is in this movie, and she's brilliant in Hamilton, and it was so fun to see her in this movie as well. So, just like, and again, I'm a huge fan of Diane Wiest. I love her, and I think she's one of the most underrated, underacknowledged actresses in the the history of the last 40 years of cinema. And she's great in this. And so is James Brolin. Just again, just fantastic. Maya Rudolph is fantastic, and she's in one of my favorite scenes. So, yes, brilliant supporting cast. More of the brilliant supporting cast, and I'm going to highlight here Greta Lee. That's one of my favorite scenes, and I'll talk about that in a second. So,
yeah. So
go ahead, Ann. Go ahead.
Awesome group of people. The next reason to watch this movie is the apple butt dance. And I think this scene really reminds me of my sister and I because we had dances like this growing up.
Well, the thing is, Ann, we had, I would say, we had very musical, dancey aunts. Like Aunt Vicky was always making us sing together. Aunt Patty taught us we went to the Aunt Patty School of Dance. So, singing and dancing was very much part of our upbringing. Grandma was always making us sing like stuff from Mary Poppins. And I'm like, okay, I never had any trouble, singing all of it. So yeah, my musical theater background well, Ann and I were in the Holy Angel School talent show as I believe second and third graders. And we sang It's My Party together with dance moves.
Yeah. With dance moves. Yeah.
And I think, did we win? I think we won.
I can't remember. I just remember, like mom and dad were like, oh my God. Because we didn't tell them what we were doing because we were so, we wanted it to be a surprise.
That's right.
Jenny and I were precocious enough and confident enough in our own ability to do whatever we wanted. So we pretty much did.
Yes.
Whether we deserved the confidence or not.
No, I did not suffer from a lack of confidence as a child ever, because I had many people telling me they love me and that I was amazing. And I'm like, okay.
And I had not as many people telling me they love me and most people telling me I'm not amazing. And I was like, fuck you.
Ta-da!
I'll show you how amazing I am.
Our cousin Joe summed it up. I remember having this conversation with like 15 years ago. And he said, the thing is, Jenny, when you guys were babies, you were so much fun. And you were always like, pick me up. And you were like jolly and fat. And then your sister was kind of standoffish. And that just was like, there you go. I'm like, see, you just need to be jolly and fat. And when people gave you things, you ate it. And then you were like happy all the time. I'm like, well, when people give you ice cream, yeah, I'm going to be like, I'm going to do anything for you. So yeah. And it was because I was jolly and fat as a baby. There you go.
See? There you go. And I was like, everybody is an idiot. And I can tell from here.
And if you've ever seen baby pictures of me, butterball baby, chubby.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, another reason to see this movie. Another reason to see this movie is every scene with John Cena in it. So funny. My favorite scene is when he and Tina Fey do the lift from Dirty Dancing.
Yes. Yeah, it's, for those of you that, okay, so right now, Joe and I just finished watching Glow on Netflix, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. And it gave me a new appreciation for guys like John Cena and what they do with like WWE and the Wrestling Federation, stuff like that. And John Cena is a fine performer. He is a very good performer, and his comic skills are very good. And he is comedy gold in this movie. There's not, he literally steals every scene he's in, and everything out of his mouth is quotable in this movie. It's amazing.
Totally.
Yeah. He's a wonderful surprise in this movie, and you can't wait to see him again on screen. Who knew?
Yeah. Who knew? Who knew? Yeah. So every scene with John Cena. The Diaries, and this is so Jenny and I when we were in high school. It isn't even funny. P.S. I might be pregnant.
So Ann and I were talking about like what we would do right now if we were kids and we didn't have to go into school. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hated junior high anyway. So I would be like, I would get all my work done early, and then I would simply play with my Star Wars action figures, or I would be outside playing basketball, or I would be outside throwing the ball against the house so I could practice fielding and stuff. So yeah. Amy Poehler is the nerd in this, and Tina Fey is kind of the bad girl. And that was pretty much what Ann and I were growing up. Nerd, bad girl.
and Jenny's like, oh yeah, I would love to be. I was like, I would have been glad not to be in school, but after I failed the first marking period and my mom brought the hammer down on my head, I would have been fine.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. I'm like, I would have done very well with online learning, because in 8th grade, I did not relate to any of the girls in my 8th grade class because I went to a small Catholic school. I did not relate or understand. And all of the boys were simply trying to sexually harass me. So that time by myself to study and then go do whatever I wanted would have been amazing. Would have loved that. Susie, I love your comment here. My father saw this film and it confused and upset him. Yes, I can see that.
I can see
my parents
that
are not allowed to watch this movie.
I was going to say, I think my parents sometimes, when Duncan and I are laughing at things that are funny, that we think are funny, my parents are like, that's definitely your generation.
It is. Yeah, there's a gigantic, and every generation has its divides, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think that's when, I don't know, there was my parents' generation, those nice, I don't know what, my parents technically they were not baby boomers. What were our parents?
Our parents are, they're in that in-between, I think they call it in-between generation, because they weren't the greatest generation, but they were born during World War II instead of after World War II, and baby boomers were born after World War II. So it's that tiny generation between the greatest generation and the baby boomers.
They were like their own Generation X. They were like literally their own little pre-Generation X thing. Interesting. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. So
no, my parents would be frightened and confused by this movie too. So no, the Diaries are classic.
They would be worried that this was Jenny and I, and that they didn't know it. They're like, somehow that they had like that they would be like, oh wow, we didn't realize how many bullets that we did dodge. So
well, and yeah. And like I said, I didn't do a lot of bad things in high school because I was I softball and basketball were very important to me in high school. So I didn't do things that would affect my eligibility, that could have any way hindered my eligibility. So I was a good girl in high school. I didn't party, I didn't drink, I didn't do drugs. I waited till I got to college for all that because I didn't have to worry about it. So, and you know what? I'm glad I waited because I was not ready. I would not have been ready in high school. I was barely ready in college to do those things, but they sure were fun.
Yeah. So anyway, they each had kept a diary in high school, and as they're cleaning out their rooms, they're reading different scenes where they're reading their diary to each other, and it's just so beautifully hilarious. It's just wonderful.
It's so great because it's such an 80s girl thing to do. And I tried really hard in the 80s to keep a diary because I know so many other people were keeping diaries. And like, if you read any Judy Blume books, it seemed like everybody kept a diary in Judy Blume books. And I just never could. I just didn't have the discipline at the time. So no.
I was too busy.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. All right. I added this one, and because I think the scene, so they're getting ready for the party, and there's one person that they don't invite, and that's Maya Rudolph's character. God, what is her name? Something with a.
I can't remember.
Like Brenda. Brenda, that's it. Brenda. And she's a realtor, and her and Tina Fey they were friends at one point, and they had a falling out in high school. And so Brenda was not invited to the party, and they awkwardly run into her at Big Lots when they're buying stuff for the party. And they have this interaction, which I just think is so funny. And it's just that Brenda basically saying, I know you didn't invite me to your party, and Amy Poehler's character feeling awkward and bad about not inviting her, and Tina Fey just putting it out there like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you didn't get invited. And then just this series of insults between the two of them. That is just, yeah. Eric, don't worry. We are coming back next week because we're going to be talking about the Mars mission. So don't worry. It's coming, Eric. Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit about the fantastic news, the new launch and the new landing on Mars. So you have to wait one more week because we had to do something dumb. See, we did something smart last week. We did books and stuff. Oh, and I forgot to tell you. Oh, my gosh. I have excellent news, and now we can get business cards that say we're influencers.
Oh my gosh! We totally need to do that. I need to get.
So what happened was this. Okay, good. So Eric, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your thinking. It's okay, Eric. Dude, I hear you, and we are smart, dumb, fun, and we will get back to the sciencey stuff. Don't you worry. Oh, and I also wanted to talk about the wolf that left Isle Royal a few years ago, and then they tracked all the data and figured out that this wolf was down for partying. Anyway.
Everywhere.
We are influencers because when we did our book talk the other day about nonfiction books, so Ashley Blake, who is an instructional coach at my school, Ashley, you're amazing, well done, was like, oh, Eric, okay, Ann and Eric know each other. That's it. I get you.
Yeah, okay. I went to school. Eric and I taught with each other.
Nice, Eric, nice. But anyway, I'm sorry, we're influencers because Ashley peeked her head into my classroom yesterday to tell me that she bought the book Outliers based on our recommendation. And I was like, influencers? Now, Ann, you and I can get business cards that say like, Ann Brothers, influencer, or Janice Brothers, influencer, which of course immediately means we're going to the bad place after we die, but still, influencer.
I was going there anyway. I don't know anybody going to the good place.
That
includes you, Mom. That includes you.
Mom's going to the good place. Let's be honest. All right. So anyway, Eric, don't worry, man. We got you. But in the meantime, enjoy our comedy gold right now because both of us are getting a little bit tipsy. Anne with her pouch of booze, me with my glass of booze, and we are talking about the scene with Maya Rudolph where she's wearing this belt right here. I don't know if you can see this belt, but basically Tina Fey makes some comment about congratulations on her wrestling championship, which makes me laugh every time. All right. The other scene.
He thought that scene was definitely you and I, Jenny. He's like, God, it's like you. Yeah.
Yes, because I would feel guilty about not inviting Brenda to the party, and Anne would be like, I'm going to double down on not inviting Brenda to the party. Yeah. So anyway, the next scene that's fantastic is the scene between Haywan and Mara. Because if you've ever been to go get a pedicure or manicure, you will notice that many of the people that work there are Asians. And so that scene is comedy gold. And the woman, Greta Lee, who plays Haywan, is amazing in that scene because the way she plays it, Haywan, is, like I said, it's just, like I said, you have to just watch it. The first time I saw it, I laughed and laughed and laughed because of her facial expression and the fact that she is screwing with Mara the whole time and playing on her white guilt. And it's just like, this is the greatest.
We thought your feet looked like dried beef.
Looked like dried beef. Hey, one, Myra. Sorry. So if you haven't seen this movie, you have to watch it. Just give yourself a little treat. And like I said, just enjoy the comedy one-liners. I enjoy the whole party sequence because of the debauchery of it. And again, that first part of the party scene where they are all talking about their bodily ailments and their pets and their children is just, it's what happens to us when we get older.
That's what happens. It's what happens. It isn't pretty, but it's hilarious. So
I would say to the people out there who are in their 40s and, or have crossed the line of being 50, when you get together with your people, don't talk about the shit that's wrong with you. Talk about what's right with you. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Because seriously, it's like that scene in Jerry Maguire when it's like, let's not tell our sad stories. Let's not, man. There's so many fucking sad stories. Let's talk about the good stories and let's do what they're doing. Let's go balls deep and joy because that's what I want to do with the people that I haven't seen in forever. I want to party with you. I don't want to talk about the shit that's gone wrong. I just don't. There. Yeah. Now you know. If you didn't know, And the party sequence is fun because once they finally decide to party like Vikings, then I just think that whole scene is incredibly fun. And it just looks like a fun party that I would like to go to that I have not been to in years. So there you go.
Years.
In fact, I think decades, honestly. When was the last time we had a party? When Ann, Esther, and I would throw parties, our Halloween parties, when we were still at CLA together. We're pretty fun.
Pretty fun. Yeah.
Pretty fun. Yeah. All right. So there is a very awkward scene where Mara, her and her boyfriend, it looks like it's going to be a sexy sex scene, but she has this music box with a ballerina sticking out, and unfortunately, dude slips and falls on it, butthole first, which doesn't seem like it would be a funny scene. Shockingly funny.
Shockingly funny.
Shockingly
Especially
funny.
when it starts playing music.
When it's in him and it starts to turn. I'm like, and the dude that the name of this actor, Ike something, pulls it off really well. And I'm just, yeah. And I know that doesn't sound like it would be a fun scene, but like I said, shockingly fun. All right. Memorable lines from Sisters. Anne, take it away.
I don't clean up after myself. I'm an adult. Love that one. Wow, that sounds like a queef on a yoga ball. We've all heard that.
Describing the last name of the people buying their parents' house, the Geerts.
The Geerts. Now this is my own personal philosophy. Oh, I don't wear thongs. I have a very fussy taint.
It's funny. The only time I have ever worn a thong in my life, the only time I have ever worn a thong was for bra strap. That's it.
That's the only time. I really, I had enough experience with thongs before then to know that I didn't want to wear one, and I don't wear one unless I have to, and I can't remember the last time I had to. So probably
Seriously.
bra strap.
Ann and I were in a show together in college called "Excuse Me While I Adjust My Bra Strap," and we had to wear these kind of these outfits that were basically white and kind of form-fitting, and as a result of that, you had to wear a thong underwear, and we all just lovingly called them butt floss. But that was part of your costume, was this, and that is the only time in my entire life that before or since that I've worn a thong, and I was like, I hated that experience enough to know I'm like, I hate this. Well, I already hate this.
I already hate this. I'm like, I'm obviously not wearing underwear for me, and since that's the only reason I wear underwear, I'm not going to wear these.
Yeah, so horrible.
So horrible. Of course, Jeannie already quoted this one to us, and this is my favorite quote: "A little less Forever 21 and a little more Suddenly 42." That was from that was Moira talking about.
That's when they're trying on the dresses.
When
they're like looking in the mirror and they're like, we have to get out of here. And she's like, yeah.
I
need a little less Forever 21 and a little more Suddenly 42. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Susie, the dancing phalluses. From the greatest bit of performance art I've ever seen in my life is that scene with the dancing phalluses to that's from the Nutcracker, isn't it?
It was the Nutcracker, of course. How can you have dancing phalluses and not play the Nutcracker?
Without having the Nutcracker. Yeah, literally, of all the things I have ever seen performed in my life, that will always be my favorite. Always.
So this next line was from Kate Ellis as she's trying to inspire everybody to party. "We used to party in this house like animals because we thought we would never die. I say tonight we party like Vikings because we know we could die tomorrow."
And that's the best line in the movie. The best line in the whole movie.
Now, this was Deanne Ellis, who plays Diane Weiss, who plays their mother. After they have, and I don't mean this lightly, they have literally trashed their childhood home. It is uninhabitable. And she and her husband walk in at the end of this party, and after everybody's left and they're both kind of hungover, and she's screaming, "I'm so cuntingly disappointed." And it was awesome to hear that word, to hear cuntingly used as a adjective. Is that an adjective?
Yeah, I would call that an adjective, yes.
As an adjective. And then to hear Diane Weiss screaming this, it's just like, I'm like, oh, yes, exactly. And I've never had a problem with the word cunt. I think it's something that we as women need to embrace, make our, so it doesn't have the vitriol when other people use it against us. So I thought that was an excellent use of that word. Of course, balls deep in joy. You and I have both quoted that several times.
Yes.
That is, and then Jenny, these next ones are yours.
Well, I'm going to go back to your I'm so cuntingly disappointed and the idea of using the C word. I felt less comfortable with it until I started watching Game of Thrones more. And then I'm like, well, if it's good enough for the Hound, it's good enough for me.
Exactly.
Yes, best word ever. And yeah, it's one of those male words that they can use for power. So we shall take the power away from you.
She'll take it back.
I believe that everything John Cena says in this movie is quotable. Some of the best lines. So here he is, this big, scary, tattooed guy, and
drug dealer. Don't forget, he's a drug dealer.
And he's a drug dealer. And the scene where he's telling him about all the drugs he has is so funny, all the way down to Flintstones chewables, or Flintstones gummies, or whatever he says. But so throughout the party, Tina Fey's character, who is obviously attracted to him, keeps coming in and just asking him random questions, talking to him about how Stretch Armstrong was her favorite toy and she used to make out with him. And what did he, like, you look like you might have been an athlete in high school. And his response was, I played tennis,
I played some tennis.
Yeah, played some tennis. Hilarious.
Oh.
So another great quote is, again, in that scene in the party where everybody is sad and Amy Poehler and Tina Fey are kind of off to the side talking, can't believe how lame this party is. And then Tina Fey says, how can one person have 2 colonoscopy stories? Which makes me laugh out loud every time I hear it. I'm like, I don't I thought this was some great advice from Kate to her sister Maura, who's a party novice. And she's like, you can't start a party with Moni Moni. I'm like, duh.
Yeah, it's like starting with anal.
Exactly. The fact, again, she's lecturing them. She's lecturing the group about how sad they've become. She talks to Rachel Dratch's character and says, your profile pic is a low-fat Mexican casserole. I'm like, if that doesn't scream 40s mom, nothing does.
40s mom trying to maintain.
I'm like, your profile pic is a low-fat Mexican. I'm like, that's hilarious. That's well written right there. Jeannie says, go to Scotland. They use it all the time. She's referring to the C word. I was never a fan, and now I say it all the time. Yeah, you fucking bleep. Yes, I would agree, Jeannie. Well done. You're so full of, another quote, you're so full of shit. I'm going to buy you pull-ups. Hilarious. Okay, so at one point, Maya Rudolph's character, who Tina Fey's character despises, sneaks into the party. Tina Fey is kicking her out, and Maya Rudolph's character, Brenda, is wearing like a leopard jumpsuit, and so her quote is, I respect your jumpsuit, but not its contents. And then finally, at the end, when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's characters, Kate and Mara, get into a big fight, and then they're making up. And one of Mara's things is that she makes these little inspirational quotes cards full of just basic shit. And so at the end, Tina Fey has written her this cute little, basic, crap card, but it's also kind of hateful and it's really long. And so, Mara says, we know quotes are usually really short. And then Tina Fey's response is, so are dicks, but sometimes you hit the jackpot, I just think that's a good quote. So anyway, Sisters is a great movie to watch because it gives you certain food for thought. Anyway, and Anne says, Anne and Duncan had this deep thought about Sisters. Here it is.
At one point, one of the characters who has gotten really, really stoned on a product called Cloud 10, and he's just crazy off, just batshit crazy. And at one point, he sticks his genitalia in a can of house paint and starts painting on the wall. And then a few scenes later, you see him sitting underneath his painting, which he has painted a dick with his dick. And the next morning, after seeing this movie, I woke up and I'm like, Duncan, if you paint a dick with your dick, is that meta?
And the answer is, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Very meta.
It's very meta. So this movie is very deep. It's not, like Jenny said, it's not a brilliant movie, but it's very, very, very funny. And I love the relationship between the two women. They're not competitive with each other. They're not competing over some guy, which you get all the time in movies about women. All they do is talk about. The only time they talk is if they're talking about some guy, and it seems like the only time they can interact is if they're interacting because they're competing over some guy. And there is none of that in this movie. I love the relationship between the two of them. They're remarkably different women. You know, despite the fact that they were brought up in the same house by the same people, they're really different people, but they have this awesome, loving relationship. And you can tell that they've had this awesome, loving relationship their entire lives. And I love that about this movie. It's funny. It's silly. It's sometimes that cringe-worthy humor that Amy Poehler just seems to be a master at.
So good at that.
And it's just, you know, like you can find a lot of reasons why, oh, I don't like that movie. Oh, it's a stupid movie. You know what? It's not supposed to be brilliant. It's supposed to be funny. It is. It's supposed to, you know, I mean, there's a whole daughter thing in it that we never talked about, like Tina Fey's character has a daughter that's like, you know, that's super easy. You know, there's some things about this movie that are passé and easily, you know, it's like, you know, it's a comedy, but in general, it is just a wonderfully funny movie that is well written for two funny women.
Well, and one of the I enjoy movies when it feels like everybody is having a great time making this movie, and at no point it just seems like at all points during this movie, people are really enjoying themselves making this movie. And that's one of the reasons. And, you know, when they do a bunch of outtakes at the end of it, which is one of my favorite things ever in watching a movie, it just looks like everybody is really just having a great time. And it's like, especially now, the way things are, it's just like, this is what I want to watch. I want to watch people having a good time, and I want to watch people that seem like they're having a good time making this sort of art. So, yeah, I love this movie. And again, it's funny. It's a good reminder that even though as we age and we get older, you know, we can still find fun and joy in the things. It doesn't have to end just because you get older. There's still ways to go out and have a good time and enjoy life. And that's one of the reasons I like this movie very much.
Falls deep in joy.
Falls deep in joy. And even their parents, like James Brolin and Diane Weist's character, they're having a great time.
They're having a great time. In fact, they seem to be having way more fun than their children. So that's the funny part.
So much more fun.
Mm-hmm.
That scene where they interrupt their parents having sex is really funny. I'm like, dude, they were hot off the sex griddle, which I think is again another really funny line. Did we just cock-block our parents? Okay, and that immediately takes me to The Good Place because, you know, in The Good Place you can't swear, and so they drop the term cork blork, which makes me laugh out loud. Again, hilarious. God, maybe we should spend an entire episode just talking about The Good Place because Joe and I are rewatching that series yet again. We just finished watching Glow, and now we're like, I need something else to watch. And part of it is that I need things that are stress-free right now because school is kind of stressful. So I'm like, Good Place. And again, still funny. Cork blork.
Yes. So, yeah. So if you need something, if you haven't seen this movie and you want to watch something funny and this is
raunchy,
it. Watch this
and
movie.
gross and hilarious and you know what it is. It's a male. Yes, if you like Bridesmaids, you'll probably like Sisters.
If you like Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, you know, if you just if you like funny women in movies.
Yes, this is, and you know, one of the things that this is like a raunchy comedy for women. You know, we have this idea that women only want cute little rom-coms. I'm like, I'm sorry, but women are gross. We are as gross as men. You know, I was in a book club. We didn't talk about books. I'm just saying.
I am way grosser. Like Duncan and his brothers will be talking and they're gross, and then I can bring it down 10 more degrees every single time. And Duncan's like, oh, I gotta text that to my brothers. And they're like, Duncan, you're so gross. And he's like, oh no, that was Anne.
So Anne, I gotta propose a show idea to you. I'm gonna do this right here on the air. I want to see what you think of this, because Joe's brother Jim texted me a couple of weeks ago with a great idea, because we've done occasional Mount Rushmores. And he's like, I have a Mount Rushmore idea for you, and I think we're going to bring them on to talk about this too. The Mount Rushmore of Muppets. Go.
Oh.
I know, right? I know. So don't talk. You don't have to talk about it now, but I'm going to put that on your radar because I'm going to throw this out to you because there's Muppet Show Muppets and then there's Sesame Street Muppets. And there you go. All I know is that Miss Piggy would be on mine right now because she's a feminist icon, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, I'm throwing that out there for a few weeks from now. The Mount Rushmore of Muppets. So yes, Susie, I would agree with you. And we need this reflected. The way women can talk to each other needs to be reflected in art, such as Sisters or Bridesmaids or Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. So there needs to be more of that too, because
there needs to be, and this is what you get when you get women writing movies about women. Not what, sorry, dudes, not what dudes think women talk about when they're not around, which is not them.
Nope. No. Sorry. As the Canadians say, oh, sorry, gay,
I drank my bag of booze, Jenny. My bag of booze is gone.
Oh, I still got some left because Joe said he would go out and get me chicken wings tonight because this is sort of my fun Saturday. So I'm having a drink and chicken wings. So there you go. I know I've been like embracing vegetables and stuff and salads.
Yeah.
And the card you sent me a couple of years ago is still the greatest card ever. And the card that Ann sent me years ago simply said, "This salad tastes like I'd rather be fat." And that's how I feel about salads. I have done well. I've had a good couple of months. Don't get me wrong. And it's not that I've done anything crazy. I've just, I've eaten less crap, drank less, and eaten more salads. So, Jeannie, yay. Jeannie saying, thanks, you guys. Thank you, Jeannie, for joining us. You guys, we are up to 306 followers. Boom.
And Eric, if you're still there, I miss teaching with you. Eric and I used to teach next door to each other, and we had a paper wall. I'm not exaggerating. It was one of those, accordion door walls. And so we used to hear each other teach all the time. So I miss.
That's always
we used
fun.
to tag team. It was good. It was a good, because we both taught 7th grade. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was sad when he went off to another building.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Me too.
What was I going to say? Don't worry. Like I said, so Ann, next week I really do want to do Mars rover stuff next week, if that's okay with you.
No, I was going to suggest either Mars rover stuff, or I was going to suggest talking about the weather that hit Texas, because we could talk about that polar vortex that went into Texas. But we might need to give that a few more days because that's still very fresh. So
actually, I really want to talk about that. Can we talk about that instead? Sorry, Eric. We'll talk about Mars. And the reason I want to talk about that is because I really think it's super relevant, for 2 reasons. Because of the polar vortex itself and the fact that you have these huge disturbances in the Arctic that are causing these things, and it's because of global warming. Yes, I said it. Blah. But the other thing I want to talk about is the structure. So you have an eastern grid and a western grid, and you have a Texas grid. And so you have this massive failure of the Texas grid due to privatization, which is the reason that you have this massive failure, and the reason they didn't actually winterize their equipment in order to save money for their stockholders. But I would love to talk about that, as you can see.
Yeah, so that was my thing. I was like, well, we should probably talk about something smart next week. So I was thinking about those 2 things because those are both in the news right now. And I was like, that weather thing, you're our weather expert, so I thought that would be a good thing, or the Mars. But they'll be in Mars for a while. I think we have time.
Yeah, and I really do, because I think you have to understand not just that. And again, when we talk about things like climate and policy are 2 things that work together. And so you had a perfect storm of shit here. And the first shit was the fact that you do have global warming, which is causing more of these climate events. And B, you have a policy piece, which is the fact that you have Texas that works on its own grid, except for El Paso, which had power, by the way. And the fact that you have this policy that works against the best interests of its citizens who vote for the politicians that agree with these policies. Anyway,
next week.
More to come on that. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys, you should watch the movie Sisters. If you want to laugh, great one-liners. So much joy in this movie. Watch it. Enjoy a drink. And we will see you guys at some point. Are we coming up? We're Saturday next week, right? Saturday? Because we got stuff on Sunday.
Other thing on Sunday. Yeah,
we got a thing on Sunday.
So we'll do Saturday.
So yeah, you guys, we will see you Saturday, probably in this neck of the woods as far as time. We'll probably be talking about the stuff that's happening in Texas because it's worthwhile to talk about. And one more thing, one of the reasons it's worthwhile to talk about, if you think your government will save you, think again.
Yeah.
Local,
they're in
state, or
Mexico.
federal. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you
They're
go.
gonna be fun.
All right. Anyway, Ann Brothers, it was good to see you this week. Yay.
Good to see you, Jenny Brothers.
Susie Jeannie, thank you for joining us. Anybody else that was on there? Eric, thank you for joining us. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.